Hey guys, Peter from SA and today, instead of doing a tying tutorial, what we're going to do is kind of a practical how-to. And we're going to cover today is how to properly clean your fly line. Now, things we're going to need for this is a container that you can put water in. I'm using a 1-gallon ice cream bucket, but you can use anything that has the ability to hold enough water to successfully put all your fly line in. Next thing you're going to need is original Dawn, not the concentrated kind, but the original Dawn. The next thing is a felt square. A little piece of felt. You can find this at your craft store or Walmart or whatever for about 12 cents for a sheet. Or another thing you can use is a non-abrasive sponge, kind of with the SOS and all that. That works great. After that, when we're done with everything, you're going to want your favorite kind of line dressing. And finally, most importantly, you're going to want your fly rod. I like to go ahead and keep mine on the butt section of the rod so that I have a handle to work with. Make sure you've gone ahead and taken your leader off. And once you've done that, you're ready to go. So right now we'll go through and start working on it. Alright, so we've got our water in here. What we want to do is use hot water, the kind of water that's, say as hot as you can get it out of your tap. And that's about as hot as you want to get it. And we went ahead and mixed in the Dawn while we were filling up the bucket. You don't want to put but just a little bit in, maybe a couple serious drops, and that's all you want. So I went ahead and filled this up about 3/4 of the way. Now we're going to take the fly rod and start to strip the line in there. And what I like to do with this is just to hold it like this and just strip it down into the water. I'm going to go ahead and loosen up my drag. There we go. Now you can flip your rod over and just pull it down that way. That's fine too. It doesn't make a hill of beans in difference. But it's up to you. So we're going to go ahead and strip it all in here. Yeah, no, this is a really exciting part of the video. And Lamson, if you guys are watching this, I will accept your sponsorship. I have no problem with that. Just letting you know. A product placement right here. Temple Fork, same with you guys. I promise, if you send me your gear, I will use it. Alright, so we got it all stripped off. Down to the backing. I'm just going to go ahead and kind of just gently push it in, scalding my hand as I go. And boom. Now we're going to let it sit there and soak. How long you let it soak is really up to you. But we're going to let this soak for about, 10 or 15 minutes. Then we're going to come back. Alright, so it's been a little while, about 10-15 minutes like I said. What I'm going to do now is, if you notice, my line is coming from the bottom of the reel. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to pop the reel out, or the spool out of the frame, excuse me, and there we go. Switch it over so that it would work normally. So all we're doing is making sure it comes over the top of the reel now. Alright, we're going to slide it right back over. Boom, and there it is. Alright, now the next thing we're going to do is actually start to clean the fly line. Alright, now when we clean the fly line, what we're going to do is kind of reel down to where we have the fly line right here. And I like to go ahead and soak that little felt patch in the soapy water. I'm going to go ahead and put it just like this between my thumb and forefinger. I'm going to use the fighting butt to go up against me so I can hold it. And then I'm going to kind of reel it down. Putting the line back on the reel as I go. Now, we're going to have to repeat this 2 or 3 times to make sure we've got, the line thoroughly clean, get some of the scaling off so that we'll be able to let it dry and then apply our line dressing. So we're going to go through this. We're going to reel this up a couple times, strip it out, reel it up, strip it out, reel it up. I know it sounds just breathtakingly fun. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and do this part for myself. Let you guys kind of skip the boring part. And when I get to the next part, pick it right back up. Oh, and by the way, incidentally, once you get to the top, just take the line, pull it back out. Through there again. Now you can go ahead and what I do normally is switch it over. to a clean side of the felt. And just kind of come through and push it on out. You're going to have to do this 2 or 3 times. It works a little bit better if your felt square is, say, white or a light color. And the reason it works a little bit better is because you can see when you stop basically getting, crap off your fly line. And once you've got it coming off nice and clean, that's when you start the rinse process. So, in just a second, we'll get right to that. Okay, now that we've thoroughly scrubbed our fly line, the next thing we're going to do is going to rinse it off. What I've done is I've taken our hot soapy water, poured it down the drain, rinsed out the bucket, and put in nice, clean, cool water. The reason we want to use cooler water is because it actually helps to get the soap off better. Alright, so we're going to go back, we're going to strip this back into the water, and we're going to repeat the process using either the same felt pad that we've rinsed out or a new clean one. So I figured I'd do is show you another way during this time you can strip off your fly line. What I've done is I've just left it on the butt, put it on the towel, just like that. And then from there, it holds it more evenly over the bucket. Go ahead and just strip it on off into the bucket. Alright. We pretty much got this done. I'm going to go ahead and talk about a couple things real quick during this time. One of the questions I get asked is, how often should I clean my fly line like this? Really depends on the kind of use you put it through. If you're like me and you fish a good bit, then you should probably do it maybe once a month. At the very least, every couple months. If you're a saltwater fly fisherman, you fish fairly heavily, I would do at least once a week. I mean, you want to be able to rinse off your line after every trip, but cleaning your fly line well should probably be done once a week. Kind of prevents scaling and helps you get better performance out of your line over the long run. And then there's some folks that go, well, my fly line really isn't that dirty. I fish in fresh water. How often should I do it? I would say to do it as often as you see scaling. The reason I say that is, even though you're fishing, good, clean, fresh water, there's plenty of sediment, debris, algae, tiny microbes that can develop as scaling on your fly line, slow down your casting, and kind of deteriorate your line a little bit faster. And I don't know if you guys have noticed lately, but a spool of good fly line can be like upwards $90 now. This is particular fly line is Scientific Angler Saltwater Mastery 6-weight, and I mean, this stuff is like $75 a pop. So you want to be able to kind of stretch out the longevity of your line, and I've learned that the best way to do that is simply by keeping it clean. Because this is my second year with this fly line, and I'm still really happy with its performance. Okay? So the trick with that is just keep it clean. Keep it stretched out. Now you're still going to have to replace your fly line every now and then. It's kind of up to you when you do that. And this is a good way to kind of stretch your investment. Alright, there we go. Just going to go ahead and we're going to repeat that again. So, pick it up one more time, drop it in the water, you're doing this just because about to overrun like that. Not that it's going to make a huge difference, it's probably just enough to mess up your day. And this actually is really good about taking memory out of fly lines. So maybe you've had your fly rod set up for a while. This is a really good way to stretch your line out. Alright, so if you notice I'm putting the fly line in, kind of pressing it, and you are going to get a few tangles like that. So just kind of be a little more careful as you go along. Slow down. Make sure you don't get any hard knots that form in that fly line, because if you do, that's just going to form a kink in it. And it's going to come out eventually, but it's going to suck. Here we go. Put it on one more time. See how we have the knot come up? I like to kind of go through it nice and slow. Look carefully, see where it is. Make sure we don't put any hard knots in it. Now, how can you prevent ever having this happen? Well, what you can do is use a bigger bucket, like maybe a 5-gallon bucket. Use that. But for the sake of the video and to make it easier for everybody, this is what we're using. Like I said, big wash pot or whatever, do fine. Alright. There we go. Boom. Alright. Keep it on cover. Now the next thing you want to do, once we've got it rinsed off, and this is probably going to do it right here, is you want to dry your fly line completely before you put your line dressing on. I know a lot of them say wet or dry application, but I've noticed that if you really want to make this last and make it work for a long time, it seems to me that it's best to let it dry all the way through. So here we go. Boom. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, move my bucket out of the way, grab something new I can dry it in. In this case, I'm using a marinating pan. Like I said, anything that will let you dry your fly line's great. And we're going to take it. Try to see the water coming off this reel. Big loose coils. You don't want it just buried down in there, so just have it nice and loose so air can get to it. I actually like to kind of throw mine to different sides as I pull it down. This kind of helps make a nice big setup. So I don't have to worry too much about the line pressing against itself, and in so doing making it to where it doesn't dry as quickly as it could. Alright, well that's pretty much all we really need to go through. Once your line is dry, take your favorite line dressing. I use Umpqua Glide. It works really well for me. Scientific Anglers makes a great one too. You know, it's whatever you want to use. What I'll do next is I'll use this same felt pad, or a clean one, it's up to you, once it's dried. And I'll put the Glide on the felt pad, run it up and down the line, and I actually want it to be kind of wet, like there's like too much Glide on it. Then what I do is, and if you read the back, it tells you this: let it dry completely. I like to let mine dry overnight. If I'm not going anywhere, I might let it dry for, a day or 2 days. Once I'm done with that, I'll get a new felt square. This is when it's important to have the new one. A new felt square, and I'm going to buff the line out. In other words, I'm going to take off all that excess after it's dried, and what I'm going to be left with is a nice, really super slick line that's easy to work with, and where that dressing, since it's dried on, kind of like a car wax at this point, it's going to last for a really long time. It's going to go a long way in protecting your line and your investment. So guys, I appreciate you watching. If you have any questions or comments, let me know. Make sure you check us out on Facebook at Lost Angler. Facebook/Lost Angler, I guess. We've got new articles posted up on the website. That's www.lostangler.com. And until then, guys, have a good one. Take it easy. Good fishing.